Hello Africa, my name is Umchaga. Welcome to episode 2 of the African Football Show. And as usual, let's dive right in. So FIFA announced its plans to live stream all African qualifying matches for the 2022 World Cup. Get this, for free on the FIFA website as well as YouTube channel. This comes after CAF had handed over all administrative duties to the world governing body because of all the scandal and corruption. This also included marketing rights and media rights, and the experiment certainly worked as millions and millions tuned in to see Tanzania beat Burundi in the preliminary rounds for the FIFA World Cup set to be played in Qatar 2022. Now, can you imagine if all this was in place during the time of George Weah, Didier Drogba, and Samuel Eto'o, the legend? Maybe we wouldn't have too much of a debate on who the greatest African footballer of all time is. But I'll let my man Ed Dove tell you why he thinks Eto'o stands high above the rest.
So Samuel Eto'o announced his retirement this weekend, and he departs the game as, in my opinion, the greatest African player of all time. Eto'o's mainly competing with the likes of George Weah, Didier Drogba and Yaya Toure for this title, but for me, he stands above the rest. Sure, Weah won the Ballon d'Or, the only African player to do so, but his trophy haul cannot match Eto'o's. While the Cameroon international conquered Europe on 3 occasions, Weah never won the Champions League, having joined AC Milan in between 2 great cycles with the Italian giants. Similarly, on account of being Liberian, Weah can't match Eto'o's international accomplishments: 2 Africa Cup of Nations titles, an Olympic gold and 3 World Cup outings. This is one area where Drogba falls down too, in my opinion, as despite spearheading the Ivory Coast's golden generation, he failed to win the AFCON despite the talent that he was associated with that great team. Drogba did win 4 Premier League titles and 4 FA Cups, scoring in 4 finals, but his greatest hour was the 2012 Champions League final success with Chelsea. Now consider this, Eto'o won the Champions League on 3 occasions, scoring in 2 finals, was man of the match in 1, and is one of a small group of players who won the title in back-to-back years with different clubs. After switching from Barcelona to Inter, he became the first player to win European trebles with 2 different clubs, and was truly a difference maker at the pinnacle of the world game. Yaya Toure, like Eto'o, won 4 African Footballer of the Year awards, and he perhaps had a broader influence within the teams at the Cameroonian, at least certainly considering his peak at Manchester City. However, just because Eto'o was primarily a goal scorer shouldn't limit his legacy. This is the most important element of football and something he did exceptionally well. He's Cameroon's all-time top scorer, he's Mallorca's all-time top scorer, and he's the AFCON's all-time top scorer. No one in Africa can match that legacy.
Thanks, Ed. And now on to the situation out in Ghana, where the normalization committee look like they are done with their work and will hand over all football matters to the GFA. Let us know, Prince, and to say.
Thursday, September 5 was a landmark day in Ghana football. After 15 months of uncertainty about resumption of normal football due to collapse of the Ghana Football Association in June 2018 by a corruption scandal, a major breakthrough appears to have been made. In Accra, a meeting of Extraordinary Congress was held to review and adopt new GFA statutes and electoral regulations. This was part of processes aimed at restoring normalcy in the sport after the corruption expose by undercover journalist Anas Arimeyaw Anas. In attendance were members of the Normalization Committee in charge of temporary administration of football in Ghana, FIFA representatives and delegates from various football entities in the country, mainly football clubs. The successful Extraordinary Congress means all is now clear for an Electoral Congress to elect a new FA President and Executive Council. After the Electoral Congress, regular football competitions, chiefly the Ghana Premier League, are expected to resume in no more than a month into the reign of the new administration, having been called off after the expose. As a next step, the Normalization Committee is expected to announce dates for the electoral roadmap in the coming days. As things stand, the elections will likely be conducted in October, and the Ghana Premier League is expected to resume at latest November. Prince Nakotutei, Accra, Ghana.
May I will say, Prince, thank you for that. It looks like good news for Ghana football lovers. But they're not the only African fans celebrating right now, after the first round of the 2022 World Cup qualifiers were wrapped up.
Congratulations to the African nations that entered the group stages of the Africa World Cup qualifiers. Amongst the many teams that changed coaches after a dismal AFCON campaign, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Namibia. Tanzania, under the interim coach of Etienne Ndairagije, overcame Burundi 3-0 via a penalty shootout. Zimbabwe had to call on AFCON's top performer, Kama Billiard, to help them overturn a 1-0 deficit to win 3-2 on aggregate over Somali. Namibia, under the tutelage of Bobby Maria, who replaced Ricardo Manetti, cruised to a 4-0 win over Eritrea. One of Africa's lowest ranked nations, Djibouti, also make the group stages at the expense of Eswatini. Other teams that also complete the group stages are Malawi, Mozambique, Angola, Sudan, Rwanda, Togo, and Guinea-Bissau.
Congratulations to all the teams that progressed to the second round of qualifiers. The teams that had a bye in the first round, friendlies were the name of the game. One match in particular raised blood pressure was the one between Uganda and Kenya. The East African neighbors clashed for regional pride in a heated friendly. Our man Seth Willis from Goal.com Kenya was there to witness it all.
Well, the match between Uganda and Kenya was an exciting one. And the fact that local-based players were given a chance to show what they can do impressed many. And I think for Uganda, they have seen what the likes of Okello Allen can do, especially against defenders. We know Josh Onyango is not an easy defender to beat. We know Eric Ouma the same. But Okello, the fact that he could play against them, do something, proves a point. And also for Kenya, Kenneth Muguna has proved his critics wrong. He has shown that he has the ability to be the next big thing in the Kenyan football. And Wivoni Souza as well. I think Francis Kahata, wherever he is, he has to be worried. Same as Captain Victor Mugubi Wanyama. Lawrence Juma played wonderfully. And I think also we saw something from Boniface Mushiri despite the fact that he played for less than 10 minutes. So the match had many key points which could be taken by either tactician.
With the international break over, the focus shifts back to domestic football. Let's check back with our man Ed Dove to give us the top 5 matches to watch this weekend in the CAF Confederation Cup and CAF Champions League.
Here are my top 5 matches to watch in CAF competitions this weekend. First up, I've gone for Enyimba against Al Hilal. Enyimba are the last Nigerian team standing in the Champions League after Kano Pillars' exit, but they've got a really tough task to get past seasoned heavyweights Al Hilal. The Sudanese team beat Rayon Sports of Rwanda, but only narrowly in the previous round, and they don't boast the quality of the side that made the semis in 2015. However, a strong result at home for the People's Elephant this weekend is imperative if they're going to get to the next round. Secondly, I've gone for USM Alger against Gor Mahia. Despite the certainty ahead of the new Kenyan season, Gor started the campaign strongly with a rout of rivals Tusker, and in my opinion they have the quality in depth to impress on 2 fronts this season. However, in USM Alger they face fearsome first-round opponents, and this is a team who reached the final as recently as 2015. Gor have to keep things tight and compact in the first leg in North Africa. Third, Asante Kotoko against Etoile Sahel. Karim Maribi of Algeria has already scored 5 in the tournament so far, and he's going to be a really ominous threat for Kotoko to deal with. The Ghanaians defeated Kano Pillars in the last round, but their weaknesses at the back were shown against the Nigerian team, and I fear they might be exposed against the SS. A positive result in Kumasi this weekend will be imperative if they're to progress. Fourth, I've gone for Young Africans against Zesco United. This is a really tough one to call between 2 powerhouses of sub-Saharan Africa. Yanga eliminated ambitious Township Rollers of Botswana in the last round. That wasn't an easy one, while Zesco cruised past Green Mamba, and they have to be considered favourites to progress. Zahara, the Tanzanians' coach, has promised that morale is high in the camp, and keep an eye on Juma Balinya of Uganda, who could be one to watch in this game. Finally, I've gone for a game from the CAF Confederation Cup. I've gone for TX Galaxy against Knap Sport of Madagascar. Galaxy obviously made history to win the Nedbank Cup by beating Kaizer Chiefs last season, becoming the first side from a lower division in South Africa to win the tournament, and they beat San Luis Suns United of the Seychelles to get this far. However, the Madagascans are the Malagasy team are going to prove a much sterner opposition, and this will be a real test for the second tier side.
That's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in to the African Football Show. As I always say, Dlala mdlali, umhlaba ngowakho.